If we were doing graphic method, we could draw a whole bunch of vectors, tip to tail, and it wouldn't matter what order they were in or what direction they pointed. But so far we only know how to combine vectors that are north, south, east, west. That's what this problem is about, how to combine vectors that are not at right angles to each other. So I hope you went through the example on the front of the paper, a completely solved example, and now you're supposed to fill in the steps on the back. So here's the problem we're starting with. There's 5 different vectors and we want to combine them into one. But they're not all north, south, east, west. Some of them are. 180, that's west. And 270, that's already straight south. So the other ones, we just need to break into components. So step 1, break anything that isn't north, south, east, west into components. So that's what I'm doing here. The other 3 vectors, I'm breaking into components. So I'm starting with this one. If this is 180, and I want to be at 220, I can tell this angle must be 40 degrees. It's 40 degrees past the 180. So I'm looking at this top triangle. The magnitude of that is 427. And if this is a side of y, this has a length of y. So the hypotenuse, my y is opposite for the triangle I'm looking at, and x is adjacent for the triangle I'm looking at. So opposite and hypotenuse, that'll be sine. So sine of 40 degrees equals y over 427. I'll just multiply both sides by 427. I'm going to round to 3 sig figs. I get that y is 274 units. That's the magnitude. That's how long it is. And then I just look at my picture. Y is pointing down, so it's south. X is the adjacent side. So adjacent and hypotenuse, that'll be cosine. Cosine of 40 equals x over 427. I'll multiply both sides by 427 and get 327 units. And I look at my picture and I see that the x points to the west. So that is west. So this is just breaking into components. You did this on your quiz. So I'm going to quickly go through these other 2. Remember, you could pick the other triangle. We're still going to get the same 2 components. I did the bottom triangle. Straight down to 270, so I know 305 is 35 more degrees. My opposite side is x, my adjacent side is y for the triangle that I picked. I look at my picture and I see x points east. And I look at my picture and I see that y points south. One more. For my triangle, y is opposite and x is adjacent. Okay, so I have all my components. Now down at the bottom of the paper, step 2, I'm going to put all my components down on the list. Remember what this means. This one black one is equal to these 2 gray ones. So I could put those 2 gray ones instead of this one. So that's what I'm going to compile on my list at the bottom. So the 128, that was already west. The 427 I broke into components. The 186 was already south. The 329 I broke into components. So I have these two components instead of the 329. And I broke the 85 into components. So I have these two instead of the 85. So now we have this whole list, and we just combine the norths and souths and the east and west and put them together to find one resultant. So now it's just like the other thing that you did in your quiz, except there's a lot more vectors. Since there's a couple of each of them, usually what I do is just say like north is positive and south is negative, add them all up, and if the answer turns out positive, it's north. If the answer turns out negative, it's south. So don't forget these that I didn't break into components. That's a common mistake. Make sure that's in your list. So I've got a south, a south, a south, and a north. So I can tell the south is definitely bigger. My overall is going to be south. And yeah, I get negative 648. So that just means 648 units south. Same thing with my east and west. I'm going to call east positive and west negative. So I have a west, an east, and an east. So positive because this one's east. And positive 22 because that's east. So I got a negative answer again, negative 244. So that just means 244 units west. So we start with these 5. We broke it into components. So those 5 were equal to these 8. And now we've boiled those 8 down to just these 2. These 2 are equal to those 8, which were equal to these 5. And now we're going to combine that into 1. So we'll just find the resultant, draw them tails together, find a magnitude and a direction. So my choices, I could either do this angle or this angle. I usually pick the smaller one. I don't know why. But here I didn't. I picked the bigger one. So I'm looking at this triangle. So for the triangle I picked, 648 is the opposite and 244 is the adjacent. I have a little setup here for Pythagorean theorem. Get the length of the resultant 692. Now I need to put it all together. If this is 180, the angle that I found was the 69, so it's 69 past the 180, or 180 plus 69, which is 249. So putting it all together, my answer is 692 units at 249 degrees.